Welcome to my channel Sella Buzz. In the brilliant sunlight of the United States, Danielle Colby used to be a picker, burning fire, an alluring, witty icon who won over millions of hearts of viewers in America. However, that brilliant, the light was engulfed by a fearsome darkness as she stood in the accused in the grisly, the defendant's seat murder of a friend named Frank Fritz, a brother, whom she used to refer to as family. Frank's unexplained passing, at first masqueraded as a stroke, disintegrated into a terrifying plot, vicious, crazy, and studded with the cold blade of treachery. How did the show's spirit, Danielle, become a heartless mastermind, constructing a network of lies to bring Frank to ruin and put Mike Wolf in the frame? Why was this twisted, turning friendship into animosity, promoting a quiet legend nearing his premature demise? A vial of nerve agents, messages that are encrypted, and a terrible weight-related secret lie. Take a dive into the depths of reality, where anxiety and facts converge and retract the end of one of the most startling scandals in the history of television. Everything will be made public right here. What are you then? What are you waiting for? Click like and subscribe to the channel, and activate alerts so you won't overlook the most outrageous and most astounding tales to come on. In the glare of reality, Danielle Colby used to be the beat of TV, of American harvesters, a representation of wit, charisma, and enthusiasm for everything vintage items. With her bright smile, with distinct manner, she was able to capture the millions of Americans' admiration. However, on 1st October 2024, that glow was abruptly went out, replaced by a terrifying shadows as the enigmatic Frank Fritz's passing, her longtime partner, disclosed a terrifying reality. KBY Danielle was more than a suspect. She was charged with planning a murder. It shook the country. This controversy didn't simply destroy the reputation of an adored television personality. It etched an unheard-of blot on the record of reality TV, traveling abroad astonished and furious. The narrative started in the American Pickers' heyday, where Frank, Mike Wolf, and Danielle Fritz made the ideal trio. Frank, with his blazing eyes and glistening enthusiasm for lost gems, was the center of the program. He didn't only go hunting for vintage items. He gave life to them, bringing back the tales of an ancient America. Danielle began her career as an office manager, developed into an essential person renowned for her keen intuition and flair of burlesque. However, behind the suddenly, fissures started to appear in their connection. Once a friend, Danielle gradually transformed into a crafty manipulator, motivated by aspiration. The death of Frank Fritz on October 1st, 2024 delivered a terrible blow to the American hamlet of pickers. Initially, it was diagnosed as a stroke. Reasonable considering his past history of Crohn's illness and other health issues. However, only weeks later, a shocking autopsy revealed the story. The remnants of a military raid, the nerve agent that was prohibited for civilian use was discovered within Frank's system. This discovery didn't simply make his passing a mystery. It started a huge criminal research. Additionally, the first finger of Mike Wolf was the direct target of suspicion, Frank's lifelong companion and co-star. Mike, the American star Pickers, was charged with Frank's poisoning. To safeguard the television conglomerate they'd constructed together, prosecutors claimed that Mike was motivated by an imminent lawsuit for money. Frank had promised to reveal sinister details regarding the financial operations of the show. A violet was found that Mike's nerve agent garage and encrypted communications between Danielle and him, moreover confirming the suspicions Mike had planned the removal of Frank in order to protect his wealth and reputation. However, when the Davenport trial started December in Iowa, an even more terrible reality in 2024 appeared, dazzling the courtroom with quiet. The lady who used to be Danielle Colby, perceived as a helpless victim, was in fact the brains behind everything. Danielle's downfall took time to occur. It was a methodical, sluggish drop concealed behind her self-assured demeanor and powerful feminist representation. Even as early as 2018, when Frank started having health issues. Problems, Danielle quietly started planting the notion that he was an inconvenience to the display. Her hushed attempts to manipulate, slowly, Mike and the producer's Frank was secluded, and his screen time was decreased, and eventually resulting in his dismissal in 2021 from American Pickers. in Frank's private journal was found by the FBI upon his passing. He wrote, "Mike and Danielle whisper whenever you enter the space. I feel like a stranger by myself show." These weren't only protests about irritation, they served as proof of Danielle's meticulously planned manipulation. However, Danielle's aspirations didn't just get rid of Frank. She having total authority over the American Picker brand. Financial records. The FBI's discovery showed that she'd been in charge of offshore accounts, where $3.2 million from dubious sources, transactions pertaining to the show, had been funneled. Only a few days before to Frank's death, she retreated $450,000 and bought an upscale home, Puerto Rico. This action, along with a transfer of $175,000 from one of Mike's shell corporations, were accused of being quiet cash and payment to silence Danielle regarding financial secrets. However, the evidence was a startling discovery, demonstrating that Danielle had planned the complete framing of Mike. In a bone-chilling incident that occurred throughout the trial, they asked Danielle about Frank's medicine. She unintentionally disclosed that she was aware of the precise quantity he was taking. "I simply wanted to confirm that he took the proper amount," she stumbled. However, her shaky voice and terrified eyes betrayed her. Attorney Sarah Harrow leaped. "How would you determine the precise dosage until it was altered? You yourself?" That query, together with a message that was recovered from a backup server, "He is by himself. Nobody comes to check on him till good morning." Danielle was changed from a witness to the main suspect. However, it wasn't the end of the nightmare. An investigation into the residence of Danielle in November 2024 discovered a terrifying plot. The FBI agents discovered a hard drive that was encrypted, having security footage that demonstrated Danielle shows up at Frank's residence at 10:30 p.m., the evening of his death, with a glass vial that is the same as the one that contained the toxin. She departed after 15 minutes later, but then going back to the security business at 2 a.m. to obtain a copy of the video before it was delivered to the police. As stated by Special Agent Emily Rivera, it was obvious proof of intention to conceal the criminal activity. The culmination occurred when investigators discovered a message written by hand in Danielle's sleeping quarters, explaining the poison to Frank's prescription drug, in addition to the actual vial that contained her fingerprints. These incriminating facts do not. Danielle was only verified as Frank's murderer, but also demonstrated that she intentionally placed the poison at Mike's residence in order to put him in a frame. The demise of Danielle is not merely a tale of treachery and greed. It's a horrifying tale of how the glittering glow of celebrity can hide the deepest recesses of an individual's soul. After being praised and honored, she turned into a representation of deceit, startling the whole country with the glaring brutality in her wake activities. The death of Frank Fritz staged to appear to be a benign stroke, but it turned out to be a calculating, cool strategy, one that put a scar on fans' hearts that might never recover completely. Hashtags like As Frank's Number Justice and Number Social media was inundated with Danielle's remorse, reflecting the public's indignation at the truth. Danielle didn't simply kill a companion. She ruined the reputation of the American Pickers. This tale is full with startling twists and shocking disclosures that turned the case of Danielle Colby into one of the most dramatic scandals on TV past. Frank's unexplained death. There was more to Fritz than a personal sorrow. It became a warning against the dreadful shadows behind the stage spots where treachery and avarice can push them past their breaking point. After Danielle Colby's precipitous decline from elegance, from a cherished American, a symbol of the country's most, the role of the despised woman in Frank Fritz's murder turned into the focal point of an unheard-of media frenzy. First summoned to testify as a hesitant witness in the case against Danielle, swiftly rose to prominence as Mike Wolf's principal suspect due to her unreliable testimony, and startling proof offered by the FBI was exposed. The inquiry revealed a Danielle who had changed totally. KBI. The eccentric office manager is no longer there, or the beloved burlesque star, but the mastermind behind the chilly manipulation, a vicious murderous scheme that horrified America. The Davenport, Iowa, trial in Mike Wolf opened in December 2024 at the focus of the charges. He was believed to have poisoned Frank Fritz to shield the American picking industry from a financial lawsuit is imminent. Danielle a key, that point was, called forth witness, purportedly in possession of crucial details regarding the partnership between the two males. However, one fatal, everything was turned upside down in an instant. Sarah Harrove, the prosecutor, asked. Regarding Frank's prescription, Danielle unintentionally disclosed that she was aware of the details of the precise dosage he was taking. Only the criminal would be aware. All I wanted to do was assist Frank in making sure, she said, he took the proper amount. However, her shaky voice and terrified eyes silenced the whole courtroom. There was no pause for Harve. How are you aware of the precise dosage unless you altered it? You yourself? That occasion signified not just when Danielle fell, it created, this already has a startling new chapter. Explosive situation. The first piece of evidence was, bone cold already. Secured retrieved mails from a backup server between Mike and Danielle revealed evil scheme. Danielle sent one message. Read, he's by himself. Nobody is going to check on him until the next day. Mike's respond, handled. This message should be deleted. Those fans' hearts were touched by a few lines, implying that Danielle was aware of regarding the strategy, but that she might have had been the one to start it. What's furthermore, a transfer of $175,000 from one of Mike's entering Danielle's account with shell corporations made people wonder if it was hush money, recompense for her quiet. However, that was only the very beginning. An investigation into in November 2024, Danielle's house by the FBI found shocking proof that changed her from being a suspect to the genius in the country's eyes. Tell me if you're interested in a continuation, a summary, or an alternative format such as a news story or a screenplay for a podcast, narrating in video. I'm glad to continue. Under the guidance of a special agent, the FBI searched Danielle Rivera's Davenport home, concentrating on her records in a private office associated with American pickers. Within a secure concealed behind a bookcase, agents found a hard drive that was encrypted, includes security video from the exterior of Frank's house on a neighboring camera, the evening of his passing. Examination disclosed that Danielle reached 10:30 at night at Frank's residence. In October 1st, 2024, toting a little sack with a glass vial that is the same as the one later discovered at Mike's residence with a nerve agent. After only 15 minutes, she departed. However, what even more surprised investigators, did she go back to a security guard? Business at 2 a.m. to obtain a copy of the video prior to its transfer to law enforcement. Rivera claims that this was an obvious attempt to hide a crime, but soon came the most incriminating proof. The identical nerve agent in a second vial discovered in Danielle's sleeping quarters with her fingerprints in addition to a handwritten message explaining the mixing process poison into Frank's prescription drug. Thermark and Danielle's distinct handwriting provided precise dose information and the length of time the poison would take to effect, making the whole investigation group that has the cold accuracy of her strategy. The terror didn't stop there. The FBI discovered an even more startling information. Danielle had staged the poison vial's positioning at Mike's residence. An old antique and archaeology staff member disclosed that he was asked to give a gift by Danielle in late September to Mike's house, 2024. A little box that matches the poison vial's description. Afterward, Danielle sent an encrypted message to, "The vial has been planted." Mike read, "Don't open it," Mike said in his testimony, stated that he was unaware of what was in the box and had undergone total manipulation by Danielle. These findings not only confirmed Danielle was charged with being the genuine genius, but also demonstrated how she used Mike to carefully frame him as a pawn in her well-thought-out plan. Outrage from the public reached a fever pitch as this evidence was released to the public. The hashtag #DanielleGuilty's number spreads like millions of social media users in a wildfire postings accusing her of betraying her a poisonous serpent that ruined the legacy of pickers from America. As one fan put it, "I admired Danielle once, but she killed Mike was stabbed in the back by Frank. She's an evil." The situation escalated, rather than a personal tragedy. It was a shockwave of culture that destroyed the picture of a program that was once loved for its genuineness and friendship. Danielle Colby, with her cunning scheme and horrifying manipulation, had turned into the betrayed face, leaving a mark on the American television history that could never be removed. Her demise continued despite the awful facts discovered by the FBI. It burst into a complete media upheaval during her trial in February 2025, where her insane, the vicious scheme was exposed for the whole country. From controlling Mike to separate Frank from the producers, Wolf Fritz to managing millions in corrupt monetary exchanges, Danielle wove a terrifying network of dishonesty powered by desire to replace American pickers completely. The trial was more than just a court case. Conflict. It was an intense tragedy in which the public was shocked by startling revelations and made Danielle a national celebrity, emblem of criminality and treachery. Danielle's story started in 2018 after she noticed Frank's deteriorating condition as a chance to get more authority. With clever accuracy, she murmured to Mike, as well as the producers Frank had turned into, a hardship, convincing them to lessen his screen time. An encrypted communication from in 2020, Danielle to Mike was discovered by according to the FBI. Frank must remain in Iowa. You must shine by yourself. I'll take care of the rest. She didn't simply remove Frank off the screen. She distorted the FII, show's revenue in order to authority over foreign accounts that obtained $3.2 million from a dubious bargains. The height of Danielle's insanity occurred when she made Mike transfer the American Picker brand's owner by threatening to reveal illegal monetary exchanges. She sent Mike a note in 2023 that disclosed illegally declared in court, sign the contract or the public will be aware of the cash. There is no other option for you. Manipulation not only got rid of Frank, but additionally made Mike a puppet in Danielle's plan, which eventually caused his best friend to pass quite tragically. Companion. The trial of Danielle in Davenport, Iowa, became a worldwide media event full of with the strain of a mental health thriller. Sarah Harv, the prosecutor, opened the argument by referring to Danielle as a serpent masquerading as a feminist, displaying her surveillance footage entering Frank's home covertly at 10:30 p.m. first day of October 2024, with a nerve poison vial. Danielle's handwritten message explaining the mixing process, the poison in Frank's prescription drug combined with on the left vial, with her fingerprints, the startled stillness of the courtroom. Mike in a moving statement. Wolf disclosed Danielle's statement that Frank was a think that a better show would be without him. She intimidated me and forced me to. Frank was forced out of my life because I was scared. Frank's sister Lisa Fritz gave a heartbreaking assertion. Frank had faith Danielle loved her family, yet she left them and took his life. As soon as Danielle took the stand, her trepidation and her weakness defense. All I wanted to do was assist Frank, merely increased popular indignation. Following after 3 days of deliberation, the jury determined Danielle is guilty of murder in the first degree. Blockage of the legal system, as well as financial fraud, imposing a life sentence on her without a parole. As she was escorted out the courtroom collapsed into a deep panting quiet. The general public's a tidal wave of rage was the answer, using hashtags such as Danielle's guilt and fairness for Frank's dominant societal media, producing more than 5 million postings within a day, designating Danielle as the cruelest traitor in television history. According to one fan, she killed Frank, ruined Mike, and set the American pickers. Danielle is a wicked person. In an attempt to Mike, Wolf gave in order to be redeemed an additional $500,000 for Crohn's Disease Foundation and declared intentions to construct a museum dedicated to Frank's legacy in Iowa heritage. However, the harm could not be undone. Officially, American Pickers was canceled in May 2025, commemorating the passing of a beloved cultural figure in the past. Danielle's. The case was more than a scandal. It was a nightmare that caused America to struggle with the grim reality. Greed and betrayal has the power to ruin even the most holy objects, but in the midst of the destruction, additionally, the trial shed light on the remarkable heritage of Frank Fritz, an individual whose influence extended well beyond what there were ever American pickers. A year following his untimely demise in 2025, the excavation of his tomb in preparation for moving transformed a solemn monument into a historic, world-shocking discovery. Under Dr. Elena Chambers's direction, under Frank's tightly sealed vault discovered a burial that included valuables that not even his closest pals ever was aware of. One of those was a 1934 Indian motorbike, in excellent condition with original documentation, which is valuable in the millions, but bearing incalculable cultural value. Close by, they discovered a stack of Thomas's handwritten letters to a little-known female inventor, Edison, exposing the mysteries of world-changing inventions. However, the most heartwarming discovery was an assortment of toy vehicles built by hand, each marked with a child's name from Children's Hospital in Iowa, where Frank had taught children to craft in secret as a kind of treatment. His leather-bound diary, known as the True Gem, documented hundreds of tales from common Americans, mechanics, farmers, craftsmen he had encountered while traveling. These tales made Frank the protector of a dying American spirit. The collection, is currently kept in a permanent his hometown museum, igniting what's referred to as the Fritz effect, a worldwide campaign to protect local heritage. From America to Europe, communities started to re-examine their personal narratives influenced by Frank's spirit. The Fritz Fellowship, created to support rural heritage research, has given scholarships to thousands of students, guaranteeing voices that have been forgotten or still heard. Frank's diary, both digitally and translated into a number of languages, has become a universal representation of human relationship. His legacy goes beyond vintages. It serves as a potent reminder that the real worth is found in the backstories them, narratives that now reverberate throughout the world, immortalized forever.